Good afternoon, East Coast. Welcome again to another webinar in our series. This one's the lowdown on AboveStore Reporting, special guest Restaurant Magic. You've got the restaurant technology guys here. I'm Gary Stotko, my partner Jeremy Julian. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning.
And Ryan Williams. Hey, Ryan.
Good morning, everyone.
Our special guest today, Greg Kingen. He's the VP of Sales and Marketing for Restaurant Magic, software industry veteran. He's been doing this for a number of years and brings a wealth of experience. All his time has been focused on enterprise reporting, BI, business intelligence, and analytics. Welcome, Greg.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Give us a little brief background on Restaurant Magic and yourself.
Great. Restaurant Magic Software has been in business over 20 years. We specialize and focus entirely on providing AboveStore reporting and business intelligence for restaurant groups all around the world. Myself personally, I've been here about 2.5 years, and as the slide says, I've been in the business for quite a while. If you can see in my picture, I've earned all that gray hair.
I've had the great opportunity to work with Greg on a number of opportunities, and we welcome you and your expertise in today's webinar. Let's jump in. So what is AboveStore reporting? We're taking a swipe at something that's super big, but man, the definition basically comes down to the capability to quickly aggregate information to allow decision makers to act at an enterprise level. And so we hear catchphrases thrown around about enterprise reporting, AboveStore reporting, business intelligence, back office. Jarrett, they all fall in the same bucket, huh?
Yeah, and that's part of what we'll talk a little bit later about in the webinar. It's just it's one of those terms that gets difficult to define because different people are going to define AboveStore reporting or enterprise reporting or business intelligence in different ways depending upon what angle of the business that they're looking at. If they're an auditor, they're going to be looking for different numbers than if they're a district manager or a CEO. So everybody's going to be looking for different things, and different solutions out there are going to be able to provide different results to the end user that's looking for them. And so we'll talk a little bit about why you might choose one solution over another again a little bit later. But we thought it was a relevant topic that we would bring to you guys. And again, Restaurant Magic's been a phenomenal partner of ours for a number of years, and so we thought Greg's experience and what he has done would help enlighten some people as well.
Greg, anything to add as far as defining AboveStore reporting or enterprise reporting, whatever we determine to call it, from 30,000 feet? Is there anything you could add to that?
You know, Gary, I think that Jeremy said it best. It's one of those terms that's difficult to pin down based on someone's previous experience. But really your definition says it all. You know, allow decision makers to act on information at an enterprise level, to be nimble and responsive in real time. That's really the key.
Nice.
Yeah, very much so.
So why would someone be interested? What do I need an AboveStore solution? Jeremy, run us through this part of the decision-making process for a multi-unit operator out there.
Yeah, no, and I think everybody, as data becomes more and more prevalent in the environment, you know, you guys will hear in the news media or in the trade mags or all these different things about big data, and data is only useful if I have actionable steps from it. And so as you guys might have seen in some previous webinars where we talked about some of our other solutions, the stuff came from the restaurants as point of sale data, and as you started to be able to capture it and put it down into an electronic format, people started to realize faxing and or emailing reports around became a really, really difficult thing to manage. And so solutions such as Restaurant Magic and or a multitude of other solutions came out that said, oh, we can take this data that's in the restaurants and pull it together into one database AboveStore, put some store indicators on it, and then be able to report on it so that I can make better business decisions. And so we wanted to, I mean, if you have multiple restaurants and you don't already have an AboveStore solution, you need to figure out how to get one, because you'll save yourself tons of time, energy, and be able to do some more for your business with an AboveStore solution for sure.
Absolutely. So what processes are involved in AboveStore? Take us through with it, because it's so much in that definition. We encapsulated all of these bullets.
Yeah, no, and I think Greg said it best earlier, and we talked about it as it related to just this term of above store. Depending upon somebody's origin, they're going to have certain tools that are going to do better than others, and I do want to talk a little bit about where kind of our above store, PosiTouch above store reporting came from. It started in a different place, and so because of it starting in a different place, its value was on integration. Its value was on doing accounting integrations and getting a view that was for the accountant. If we go and talk about purchasing, and if the above store solution was kind of driven from the purchasing inventory side of the business, it's going to look different, and the reports might have some different value. Again, a lot of the solution providers out there do look at a broad swath of the different business needs and the different data elements that can get pulled up, whether it be purchasing data, inventory data, sales data, labor data, scheduling, forecasting data. There's just so many different pieces out there that make a restaurant tick that, again, it's a really difficult term to define, because depending upon how your restaurants run and what your business drivers are is what you need to manage in order to drive change within the business and be able to make better business decisions.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry, I advanced that slide too quickly. So it segues right into which solution is for me. If I'm sitting out in the audience, I've got 16 stores with 5 more coming online in the next 12 months. How am I picking? What's for me?
Yeah, no, and I think, and again, I did probably jump a little bit ahead of the slide deck just from the standpoint that our North Star solution, which I know, our North Star enterprise solution, not our North Star order entry solution, which you guys might have sat on another webinar and listened to that, but our North Star enterprise solution was really driven, and the history of it comes back to one client that needed some specific labor data and sales data to manage their business better, and so we wrote an in-store solution. Then they said, oh, I'd love to see this above store, and that kind of drove us to write that same reporting stuff above store. Then somebody within their business, it happened to be their CFO, said, I need to be able to post this information straight to my general ledger, because this sales and labor data is really relevant to my business, and we manage a lot of our stuff, and we manage our restaurant bonuses based on P&Ls. And so it's got to hit my general ledger. And so a lot of what we wrote for our stuff kind of came from there. I'm going to talk about it, just a couple other players out there in the market. There's another above store solution, not Restaurant Magic, but that came from a operational background. And so their key data sets end up targeting what business drivers are going to help operations run the day in, day out operations better. They didn't at the time initially have a lot of success with integration. They didn't have a lot of success with multiple point of sale companies out there. They only had 1 or 2 different providers out there. So it depends on the business driver for what you're looking for. If it's really driven from an integration and accounting perspective, certain solutions out there are going to do a better job than others. If it's really from a finite detail of food costing and purchase management, there's a few solutions out there that do that really well and might not do the sales stuff. If it's only labor that you really are targeting, there's some above store solutions out there that do really a great job with labor. And so it kind of depends on, one, where it came into the business and who their initial integration partners were primarily, and then secondarily, what tool sets they have honed within their above store solution. And so where's the business driver from your side, and then where is the product that's out there's core competency or their initial start?
Yeah, to just paraphrase that down, it is that there's a number of high quality, best of breed above store solutions out there. They all come from a different core competency, and you'll recognize it as you go through the process of evaluation.
Very much so, very much so. So again, as you start to look at even Greg's presentation, there's going to be certain key things that they do a great job on, better than just about anybody out there. and we'll let him kind of talk about that here in just a few minutes. And then there's some things that I think if Greg were to be completely honest, he would say, you know what, we have some areas of opportunity that some other people do this better than we do. And I think that that's fair, because not everybody can be everybody to every single brand out there. So
correct. So that gives us a good opportunity to bring Greg back into the conversation here. Two questions for you, Greg. One would be, what do you answer when people ask you what's the right solution for me? And then secondarily, you can segue into where restaurant magic comes from, and then we'll segue back over into the presentation itself.
Sure, thanks. When someone says, what's the best solution for me, it's always an interesting question. As you said, no one solution is the best solution for everybody. My initial response is, I think we have a great solution that meets the needs of a lot of customers. Let's take a look at it and see if it solves the things that you're trying to accomplish within your organization. I always tell a customer, tell me the things that make your head hurt. When you come into your office in the morning, you sit down, you turn on your computer, what gives you a headache? What makes your brain cramp? If that's something that I can solve for you, then that's great. Our DNA and our origin is kind of unique. We actually started out to try to build a software development kit to allow for connectivity within restaurant enterprises. So we're a bit unique in so much as the fact that we didn't start from a specific side of the business. We really started at the foundation. How do we build a product that allows all the disparate systems within a restaurant enterprise to talk to one another? The point of sale system, the accounting system, the payroll system, the kitchen display system, their HRIS, whatever it is they're using to schedule their employees. So that was really our initial goal. And we luckily found a great first customer that allowed us to deploy that solution across the entire U.S. initially. And then from there, over the last 23 years, we simply continued to refine the technology to try to make it as connectable as possible, to push and pull data throughout the enterprise and provide that enterprise reporting layer to give those managers and those area managers and those executives the information that they need real time to make the best business decisions. Because as we know, restaurants operate on short margins. Managing food and labor costs are especially critical, but I need to know today as opposed to next week.
Right. No, very good. So perfect chance for me to have you tell us about the strengths of Restaurant Magic. I know that Jeremy had referred to core competencies, and we all have them as individuals and companies. So take us through some of the strengths and core competencies of Restaurant Magic and their Data Central solution.
Sure. Sure. So one of the things that really is always important in being able to deliver a solution starts in the wheel there with POS integration. Lots of POS systems out there. A lot of times companies, even those 16, 20 unit companies, they might have 3 or 4 different point of sale systems depending on how they've grown, what their FDDs are like. So it's really a situation where we consider one of our key strengths is that we integrate with currently about 38 different point of sale systems. We can align all that data into an AboveStore system that makes sense out of all that. So we really specialize in multi-unit and multi-concept customers. One of my current customers, as an example, they only have about 65 locations, but they have 29 concepts different and 5 different point of sale systems. We roll all that data up into a solution that makes sense for them. Another thing that's important for customers is the ability to access the information. Sometimes solution providers give you a preset number of reports that you can select from. We kind of took a different approach and decided that we wanted to allow our customers the ability to create and design their own reports or to modify the over 800 standard reports we have in our system. So that's where that report designer and that unlimited reporting and custom reports capability comes in. And then, of course, you want to get that information out automatically. You don't want to have to sit there and decide when to run the report and then create the list. So we automate that entire report delivery process. But the thing that I keep hearing from customers and as I read trade magazines and go to trade shows, it's really about accessing data right now, no matter where I am, on whatever device I happen to have in my hand. And that last little bullet there with the dashboards and the mobile portal is really the key. All the information in our system can be created into a dashboard, not just a few dashboards, but anything you want, as well as any device, whether it's your iPhone, your Android tablet, your Windows tablet. whatever it might be, you can access your reports, your dashboards, and your key metrics in real time from your mobile device. And right now, that's the hottest thing out there.
Absolutely. It's mobile, mobile, mobile. We've talked about it time and time again.
Yep, very much so. I think everybody's getting used to picking up the computer that's in their pocket that also can make phone calls and getting the data that they want.
Sure.
Real quick, before we carry on, I know Greg talked about quite a bit. Those of you guys that haven't joined us before, there is a question panel on the right that you can pull out and write in questions, and we'll do our best to get to all of those after we get done with the presentation. If you've got specific questions either for Gary or myself or for Greg, we'd love to take those towards the end of the presentation, and we can answer any questions that you might have about what Greg has shared.
Good. So with that, Greg, you know what? I know that you've got them. I know of a number of them myself. Help us with success stories, examples, real life examples of how your products helped some companies right their ship.
Certainly. You've got one up on the screen. You know, this particular customer had a need to standardize data across multiple brands, and obviously that's always a challenge. They wanted easy reporting tools that users of all technology levels could use. You know, sometimes the people that are great at running restaurants, they're not exactly great users of technology, so we needed to make sure we had a solution that worked for them. And then they needed to have a way to standardize that reporting for food and liquor usage. Liquor usage was a big issue for them. They really had no idea how much liquor they were going through. Liquor inventory was a problem for them, and they really didn't know where they could save money. So once we implemented the solution for them, we saved them 15 to 20 hours a week for up to 4 people on tasks that were simply eliminated with the software. That doesn't mean those people were eliminated. It just means that their need to perform that specific task was eliminated. You know, we also provided them with that accurate and timely reporting, better support with up-to-date software. They never had to worry about having the latest and greatest technology in their hands. And then we really were able to give them the solution to track and control their liquor usage within a couple of weeks of the implementation. That was probably the thing they were most excited about. They were losing a lot of money. Their target food costs and their variance was just really out of hand. So with that information, they were able to implement process and procedure to really lower that significantly. And that's just one example. There are many more. You know, each customer comes with a different challenge. One we just recently implemented, they really had an issue with inventory. They were taking inventory on pieces of paper, and then that was being sent to someone to enter in. And so this person was spending 15 to 25 hours a week simply entering inventory into a spreadsheet so they could try to come up with theoretical food costs. Once we completed the solution, obviously there was no need for that. They started taking their inventory on their mobile devices, which is one of our options, and once they completed their counts, those were automatically synchronized with the solution, and that whole work effort was simply eliminated.
Nice.
Hey, Greg, one thing that you did mention, and again, I think it's a hot button for people in general, and I don't know that you mentioned it explicitly, but you talked about the fact that the software is always updated. Can you just talk, and we failed to put it in the presentation, but you guys are a software as a service solution. Can you just talk a little bit about what that does to help the restaurateurs with not having to worry about different versions of the software and managing across the multitude of chains and all of those different things?
Sure, absolutely. Software as a service, if I would have been smart 15 years ago, I'd have got on board with it, but I thought it would never go anywhere. But, the reality is that software as a service is a boom for operations people, because instead of installing a bunch of software at every location, and then every time somebody spills a drink on something, and whoops, there goes your data and there goes your system, everything's done up in the cloud. So we use what's called a smart client. So people can work within their units, and even if they lose connectivity to the internet for any period of time, the system caches the data internally, and then once the connection is restored, pushes that data back up to our servers. So they're always working, regardless of whether or not they have the internet connection available or not. Also works for people that have dial-up. Just talked to a large chain, believe it or not, that still uses dial-up to connect their units up to their corporate offices. So software as a service is a great way to minimize operations impact on having to keep up with updates of the software. We update our software on a regular basis, and it gets pushed out to the servers, and then when people sign in, they're using the latest and greatest.
Nice, thank you. We've got questions coming in, so we'll segue right into this.
Right. Any questions as they're coming in. One question that I did see come in, Greg, is just what does it look like to start an implementation? How big or small do you guys go? Do you guys only deal with 65 stores and above, or kind of what does that look like the question was kind of posed around that. What does it look like to engage with Restaurant Magic?
Sure. It can take a variety of forms. We have some customers that really are just looking for good above-store reporting, pulling data just from their point-of-sale system, maybe doing some integration into accounting for that sales and labor data like you mentioned. Those implementations can take place in 30 to 60 days. They can be up and running. We can connect to the point of sale, validate their point of sale data, define the report set that they want to get, and define who gets those, and start pushing the data right out to them. Obviously, when you factor in things like item masters and recipes, so you can really get to that theoretical food cost, then those engagements take a little bit longer. But it's an investment of time, obviously, and there's nobody at a restaurant whose business card I've ever seen that says I'm the buyer and implementer of software. Everybody has a full-time job, so we try to do as much as possible on our side and then guide them through the implementation process so that it doesn't require a huge investment of their time. But we have to understand their operations, and nobody understands it like them. So we do need their input to get the system initially configured.
Good. Ryan, next one.
So Jeremy, how we do the North Star product obviously lives in its own space. Talk about it and Restaurant Magic. What is the relationship, and how do they play together?
Got ya. So we kind of knew that bringing Greg on might cause a bit of confusion for our customers that are on our North Star Enterprise platform today, and we weren't intending on creating the confusion as much as it is. We wrote the North Star Enterprise framework and those applications for specific business needs to do some PosiTouch stuff that wasn't able to be done with anybody out there. And quite frankly, I think even Restaurant Magic or a lot of different players out there would be challenged to do some of the things that we do with North Star Enterprise, because it was a PosiTouch specific, PosiTouch-centric data model that we were able to take PosiTouch's ways that they go about doing things and modify and change them around. And the other thing that I would say about that is there's nobody out there that's saying that you can't have two above-store solutions, one for operational reporting and one for accounting and financial integration. We've got a lot of customers that are using multiple products out there, so it's not just Restaurant Magic or North Star Enterprise. You could do both. Right. If you are happy with what PosiTouch is doing from a food cost, labor cost, scheduling system, then you know what? A solution like North Star Enterprise is going to be less expensive because PosiTouch doesn't charge for those modules. Mm-hmm. When you get to an above-store solution that does inventory, food costing, labor scheduling, all of those financial integrations, typically that's the part of their revenue model is to charge for those modules as they come on, and so you'll have to pay for those things. And so again, just a solution out there that, again, what's your business need, and then how can we consult with you to tell you what the best solution out there in the market is to help you out with it.
Absolutely. If I could add to that, from a Posi standpoint and North Star, Jeremy mentioned the core competencies of how we move data with concern to accounting and things of that nature. A huge competency remains a strength for the product. Our engagement with Restaurant Magic goes way back because PosiTouch is built to work with best of breed. Sometimes it is a solution that is Posi-centric, CBS-centric, very much with our existing customer base. Other times, us and See-To-It and Crunch Time and Restaurant Magic are pulled into circumstances, and what we found and are working on with Restaurant Magic is our North Star order entry, and that providing that best-of-breed solution with Restaurant Magic, See-To-It, Compete, and others coming online. But we've found with Restaurant Magic a real synergy with our approach to market and how we work with our customers, and that's the other reason that Greg's joined us. So great question, but hopefully that clarifies for you guys how we work together on our products.
Yeah, no, great question. Anything else? Any other questions out there? one question that just came through was just kind of, Greg, what do you see for a smaller chain it might look like to implement a solution? If I was just doing sales and labor above store to do, a grouping of your 800 or so reports out there, what does that look like if I have one single point of sale solution and just because I happen to know the customer that asked the question, they have one single point of sale solution to be able to just get above store sales and labor reporting. What does that look like to implement? And then obviously, if they were doing food costs and labor costs and those kind of things, what else would you say as far as their engagement would take, and what can they expect from a start to finish timeline?
Start to finish timeline on just hooking up to a single point of sale and setting up the reports that they need, like I said, is a 30 to 60 day engagement typically from the day that they say, yes, we want to do business, to the point at which they're getting valuable information out of their system. The first piece of that is really the POS validation. So even though we have integrations built with a lot of these popular systems, you never know what might be in someone's data. So it's always good to pull that data once you begin to pull it in and just verify, am I getting gross sales properly, or are things lining up? Do I see my comps and my voids and all those other things that are important? And then just making sure that they have the report set that they're most interested in and the dashboards that they're most interested in. They can access those not only from the Data Central client and to our servers, but also from their mobile devices. And then obviously layering in the other things like food costing and labor management, scheduling. We do scheduling all the way out to an employee-facing application they can download to their phones to make sure they're there on time. Those things add some layers of complexity. Food costs is probably the tougher one because you have the work that goes into building the ingredients and the recipes. And if you've never done that before, then it's obviously a little bit of grunt work to pull all that data into the system. If we're going to do our entire system from end to end, a typical implementation might take anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Depending on the speed of the client. I always like to tell the clients, I can go as fast as you can go. As a matter of fact, I can go faster than you can go. But again, they're trying to run their business. They're trying to run their restaurants. We need input from ops people, point of sale folks, financial people. So it's not a huge impact on any one group, but we do need that input. And then obviously, it takes some time to get those data elements lined up.
Right.
Wonderful.
Very good. Very good. That wraps up our time here for today. Huge thank you to Greg Kingen. I've popped up onto the screen all of our contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Personal endorsement on Greg and Restaurant Magic. Obviously, we described the relationship between CBS and Restaurant Magic, but a neat group of folks that, like I had said earlier, we found some real personal synergy with mindset and execution. And so please don't hesitate to reach out to Greg for any specific questions. Greg, thank you very much for participating today. It was a great 30 minutes together.
Gary, Jeremy, Ryan, thank you so much, and thanks to all that were able to attend. Look forward to speaking with you soon, and I hope to see some of you at the NRA show in a couple weeks.
Heck yeah. So Ryan, Jeremy, and I will be out in Chicago. We'll be doing Restaurant Technology Guys live from NRA here coming up in the next couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah, no, it should be a fun trip out to Chicago to see the new technology, and we hope to be able to give you guys a little bit of consumer reports on what we find at the show.
Excellent. Thank you guys for attending, and we'll catch you on the next show.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hello?